Tests are a very important part of the solid Flutter application and any other application. In Flutter, we have three types of tests: unit tests, widget tests, and integration tests. We are using unit tests for testing small parts of app, like functions or classes. Widget testing is when we testing portion of the UI in the isolation, and integration tests allow us to test critical path in our app from start to end on the physical device or simulator. Okay, so let's jump to the code, and now we will be using the integration test package for simple integration tests in Flutter. At first, we make sure that this package is installed on our machine. So let's move on to the documentation and try to install this package. To proper installation, we have to just trigger this command in the terminal. These two packages will be added to our project. Okay, so let's copy this line of code and paste to the terminal. I installed this package before, so there was only check for a newer version. Okay, so let's jump to the code. In the most important folder in Flutter, lib, we have two Dart files, main file and homepage. In main file, we have two widgets, my app and login page. In my app, we have material app widget. This is the root widget of any Flutter project. Next, we have the login page we are currently viewing on the simulator. Here we have two inputs for username and password and one button for login. This is text field for the username and this text field for the password. And of course, elevated button for login. And now for simulate the login in the elevated button in onPressed method, we have the simple logic. If someone write admin for the username and admin1234 for the password, this is the correct data, and we just push the user for the new material page route homepage. Homepage is the simple widget where we just display text you are logged in. In other way, if we pass wrong credentials, we just set string error, invalid username or password, and trigger the set state to set the state of the widget. Okay, so let's play with our app to show how it works. Let's write proper credentials and try to log in. As you can see, all works. And now let's pass wrong credentials, like for example, no data. And now we see an error, invalid username or password. Okay, so now we can write the integration tests for these two use cases. At first, let's create a new folder, integration test. Inside we are creating login test.dart. And now we're creating two paths for successful login and incorrect login. Okay, now we have to create main function. This function will be the start point for our tests. We can group tests using the group function. This allows us to know what type of tests are in this section. Let's write our first test, and this test will be checking if correct credentials were passed and whether the user is successfully authenticated. We can write test widgets function, write the description of test, and in the second argument we have the function returning widget tester, the object that programmatically interact with the Flutter engine, so we can write and run integration tests. We can change widget tester to test for shortened code. To start testing our app, we have to create our main widget, which is my app. To do it, we have to write test.pumpWidget. This method runs app with passed widget. Okay, so let's pass my app widget, and we see that automatically Visual Studio Code import this class to the file. According to appeared information, we can write const because my app has the const constructor, but this is not very important in our educational example. Okay, so this line of code allows us to pump widget, but this function is asynchronous. So we have to write the async method, adding async before the function body and write await before test pump widget. For simplifying, in async method, we are waiting for the function until it finishes its work. So after executing this function, we should see the screen displayed on the simulator screen. We want to know how we can programmatically write some input inside the username and password. To do this, we have to write test.enter text. How we can now find the corresponding widget? It's a few methods, but we just use the keys. If we jump to the main file and find corresponding widget, we see that the widget has key field. This key indicates specific widget. In username, we have the username field key. In password, we have password field key, and in elevated button, we have login button key. If we want to write something in username, we have to just copy this key and use it in tests. To use it, we have to use find object and method by key. First argument is the corresponding key, and second is the text we want to write in the input. And of course, we have to import material from Flutter. Okay, so this line of code, write admin to the username field. Let's write the same for the password. Okay, now we want to tap on the login button. To do this, we use tap method and corresponding key. In sequence, we just enter in text admin 1234 and next tap the login button. At the end, we have to use pump and settle method to end our tests. Now we have to write the expectation for this test. So we write expect, and now we expect that home page will appear after passing correct credentials. One more time, we have to use find object and method by type. Inside this method, we write homepage type. Measure is the condition, how we can check the condition is correct. So our condition is correct if we find exactly one widget which has homepage type. And for this serves finds one widget. Additional test will be find the correct string, indicates error on the screen. So let's write find.text and text corresponding to the error. And to examine our test, the measure will be the same, that is finds one widget. Okay, this test is done. Save the file and open terminal. Now we can run our test using Flutter test integration test. As you can see, tests are running very fast and all passed. But for a better understanding what's going on, we will add a little bit delay for functions. So let's write delay function. The delay function will be the future delayed with some duration, and let's add this method after every operation. Okay, so run the tests again. Now we see every operation step by step. Okay, so now let's write the test for the wrong credentials. We begin in the same way, test widgets with description and change widget tester to test. Now we can copy the line of codes from the previous example because we are doing the same thing and we want to pump the widget. Enter the text and tap login, but with different data. And now we expect that after invalid username and password, we will see two widgets with text invalid username or password. And because it will be exact two widgets, the method is finds and widgets. Our second test is done, so now we can run the tests again. All tests passed. In first, we seen the home page, and in second, we seen the two widgets with invalid username or password text. We have written the two simple tests, but you can imagine that you can use it to the critical path in your application. And every of this critical path in your application can be covered by integration test, so you don't need to worry about changes in your code. Of course, the delay is unnecessary and should be removed. Thanks for watching and see you next time.